Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. Busy earnings day today. UPS, AT&T, Texas Instruments, Boeing, a lot of earnings this morning. So we're going to talk about those. We're going to preview the earnings after the bell today, specifically the auto earnings with our guest. That'll be at 8:35 when we're joined by Zoe Rahim, an analyst at Cox Automotive. So a busy day today. Before I throw it to Joel, I want to tell you guys about the sponsor of today's show. Today's show is sponsored by Wealth Venue. Pulling them up on the screen right now, the autopilot investment platform for everyone. Wealth Venue will structure, trade, and rebalance your investment portfolio so you don't have to worry about making the right investment decisions. To learn more, go to wealthvenue.com, and I'm putting the link in our chats right now to wealthvenue.com. On that note, Joel, tell us about what's happening in the overnight session in the S&Ps.
We got a big old range here, actually a little over a 30-point range. Your pre-market high stands at 2750. We'll be keeping an eye on the upper 2750 handle. Tuesday's high 5750. Monday's close was right there as well. So that's a potential target on the upside. On the downside, we went all the way to the 19.25. Don't have much there, so I'll just keep an eye on mid-range on the session at 2734.75. Crude recovering a bit from getting shellacked yesterday, trading up 36 cents at 66.79 here. Let's see if we can put a little double bottom in here in crude oil, perhaps a little rebound rally. Gold, give it some back, down 720 here at 1229.5. Silver stuck at under $15 at 1473.5. That's down almost 6 cents. So triple D, do we have kind of like a lopsided W here in the market, or do we have
an ugly W? And you know what? The ugliness of the W cost me obviously on my long, because I was saying even in the chat, I tried to go long there, and I actually worked right off the hop. It was working well because I thought that the October 11th low might hold. So I went long, bunch of SPY, but obviously took out those lows and I got stopped out. So disappointing there that I got stopped out. And it did come back afterwards. So the ugly W could still be there. You did hold. And, the next level there's always another level. You did hold the June lows back, at the 268.49 I'm looking at there. You almost hit that on the kiss, or 268.61. So it seems like when you take out one level, you just try the next one. So that's the good news for the market. You did hear the June news, or hold the June lows. And you know what? Just good tape action there yesterday. Good tape action overnight here too, because we were down. We're bouncing back. The buy the dippers are back in here. So Bear hat is officially off here right now, which it kind of was coming off yesterday. And I've got my market neutral hat on. So not fully bullish here, but back to market neutral because I like the trading action. So I like the bounce back.
All right. So we'll keep an eye on that. We just got a ton of earnings to cover here today. So I guess we'll just we'll get the news, we'll get the earnings done, we'll get that out of the way. We got a great guest coming on at 8:35. Big automotive earnings after the close. Tesla. I don't know. Do you want to talk a little Tesla here before we?
Yeah, I do.
Holy moly! I mean, up $9.50 is what bouncing around over 300, up 303 or up 974 or 303.88. I don't know. You can look for some resistance here. What a wild action it's going to be on the earnings. Everyone expects it to be good earnings.
Yeah, obviously when they're buying ahead of that. And we were talking on the show there yesterday, the stock was in the 260s and they moved up the earnings report. That was the news yesterday morning, correct?
Yep.
And
Citron
reversed.
I saw Citron. I saw the tweet afterwards too. So Citron long coming in. Man, they must listen to that Benzinga pre-market show, because Jason Raznick came on, gave the bull thesis. We all kind of were talking on the same side. We were all bullish it down there at 260s yesterday. Did not buy any. Wish I would. It's up 40 points. So got to start listening to our well, they're not stock tips, but listening to our opinions there, especially when Jason Raznick gets on there. That guy's hot.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it was just a
CSLA
perfect storm.
Another 10 points.
Yeah, good timing by him. Trading at the highs of the pre-market session. Let me see. You know what? I'm going to stick with that number I gave you guys last time. Remember we talked about 315, and that's just looking at the charts. I'm not getting no numbery on you, but I see a high above there. I see a couple highs right at 316, 317. So use that as a target. It's been in the trading range, and that's been the top of the trading range really since end of August. But once the numbers come out, then all bets are off.
And you know what? I think they could turn a profit because when was the earnings, Spencer? When was it scheduled before? When was it the scheduled date before they moved it up?
Next Wednesday.
So they don't move it up if you're going to report bad news. So, and I think the market's already speculated that something's going to happen. I think they could report a profit here. And if they do report a profit, you know what? You'd say it's going to pop for sure, but it's already popped 40 points here now.
I know.
So now you're really chasing it. So I don't know. Now it's like it's almost moved up too much too quickly there. But if they do report a profit, it's probably going to pop more. I mean, this short thesis is starting to get a little bit thin here again. And you can say, oh, valuation's insane. Well, valuation's been insane on a lot of stocks. And it's always kind of been insane on this one too. But I mean, if they start reporting a profit and they stop burning cash, that's always been the bear arguments, is that they need cash, they need to raise cash. They start making money, it's a different story. So, and obviously the cars are awesome. Like I've seen those, obviously I've talked about being in and going to Somerset Mall, sitting in the cars, and I'm very impressed with cars. It's just always been a valuation issue for me. But if they start making money, that could change. So, and you can't argue with the technicals. There has been buyers multiple times down in the 250s. It seems, that if we go to the weeklies and look at it, every time it gets down the 240s, 250s, it rips back higher up to 300 again. Like how many times could you have played this, Joel, from this 240, 250 area up to 300? You could have played it back in 2017. I got to go with the monthlies because this has been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
So really there's at least one shot in 2017, but not only that, multiple shots here in 2018. It came down there in March, ripped back higher. Actually came down there the next week again, ripped back higher again. Came down here just in the 252 area back in September, ripped higher again in the 300s. Came back down to 240, ripped higher again. 4 or 5 times you could have played this 255 to $300 and been making 40 points a pop.
Yeah,
and it did it again yesterday.
The only problem is when it's sitting down there like 250, 253, you think it's going to 200.
Well, if it sat down there for a while this time, and you're looking at the market get weaker, and you're thinking, but when they moved the earnings day up yesterday, you knew the buyers. You just had a feeling, and we all did, that they were going to come in. I actually tried to buy it on the opening tick, but it opened a little bit above me. I put an order out there, I think, for 261, and I think it opened 262 and change. I should have been aggressive. It just went like 265 because it kind of opened and then it ran. The first 10 minutes up $10.
And what was interesting about it too is it almost had a gap fill. Opened up at 387. Your low was 62.10, and that was only like 24 cents away from Monday's high. So really not bad of a gap situation here, but earnings galore here on this Wednesday in the
Getting into the heart of it.
Yeah. So want to start with our after hours action, and then
let's go Texas Instruments, because this is weighing on the semis here this morning still. I know we're in the green. A lot of your semis are in the red. Texas Instruments with a warning here. It had a wild day yesterday. It was down ahead of the report, bounced all the way back into their number, and then they disappointed. Spencer is real. Details.
Q3 EPS for TXN, $1.58 is a 5-cent beat. Sales 4.26 versus $4.3 billion. So mixed on the Q3 numbers there for Texas Instruments, but they did say that personal sales in personal electronics segment declined in the mid-single digits on the year-over-year basis. Automotive sales growth is slowing from previous quarters, so general just sales slowing down.
So what do they sell to the autos? Is it like the stuff for the dashboards and the panels and stuff and things like that? Okay.
Listen to the scientific calculators.
Yeah,
Did you have one of those when you were a kid? The Texas Instruments scientific calculator. I can't stop
We
thinking
all
about
did.
Texas Instruments and like
That's
I
all
always
I
had their scientific calculator back in your physics class and your calculus class. Remember the scientific calculator?
Yeah, the TI
that they always
83.
that it's always a TI scientific
the TI
calculator.
83. We all had one.
Yeah, we all had one, and that's that got us through all those hard courses. This TI scientific calculators.
That's the only thing I think
obviously
of.
do a lot of other things.
Yeah, that's the only thing I think of when I think of Texas Instruments. Well, your initial spike took you down into the 92 handle, 92.37. You've bounced around a little bit. It seems like you do have some support here in the pre-market trading at 93 even, let's call it. You come down there a couple times. So keep an eye, see if the buyers come back at 93. As I said, your pre-market low comes in below that at 92.37. So, I mean, I'm looking at a support now. If it takes that out, really nothing on the monthlies here. Maybe use a psychological number like 90. I mean, if it really starts getting whooped up, 89.31 was your low in October of last year.
You can look at all the other semis. We just teased it a bit, but Cypress Semiconductor down, Intel down, SMH, which is your semiconductor index, is trading down. So a number of semi stocks a little bit weak here. That's all off Texas Instruments there. But you'd be lucky. It's just a carnage there. It's just insane. I mean, Micron, which I sold half the position, I'm glad I did. It's $38. I mean, Applied Materials, which I own some of that too, and I shouldn't have, but I bought it there. I thought it was starting around up there at 37, and it wasn't. It was continuing to go lower. It was rounding to go lower. So I have a little bit of that in my invest portfolio as well. It's 33. I mean, holy cow. NXPI, which was supposed to have a deal to get taken over by Qualcomm at $128, is now 77. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Man, the carnage in the semis is just incredible. You got to think there is value here. I mean, if you're sticking these, buying these and sticking in long-term portfolios, I can't really argue with that. But the value trade has not worked here for a long time. Eventually, I think it's going to work. But holy cow, man, the carnage here, especially NXPI. Like, what are you thinking? You got $128, and then there was that one report that said, "Oh, the deal's going to get approved by the Chinese regulators," and they're like, "Oops," I think it was from Reuters, and then they're, "Oh, no, it's not," and it got up to like 125 that night. Man, the selling opportunities. When you're only $3 away from the takeout price, ring the register.
Yeah, I remember.
$75.
Yeah.
It's actually down here at 76 in the pre-market. Yikes.
Not really showing any sign of going up early too. We are. Let's see. Let's just go back on the monthlies here. I see a low at 75.04 from July 16. If you're looking for a potential support level here in XPI.
Let's talk AT&T. They reported earnings yesterday. Spencer, this morning. Sorry, Spencer details.
Yep, this morning for AT&T, the Q3 EPS of 90 cents missed the 94-cent estimate. Sales of $45.7 versus $45.58 billion. So a mixed report because of the slight beat on the sales, but a miss on the EPS. The EPS guidance they gave was actually at the high end of the $3.50 range they had previously given. But I think the EPS beat is what we're watching here this morning, or the EPS miss, excuse me.
Yeah, the EPS miss. Verizon, AT&T going in opposite directions lately. Verizon blasting off. I thought the 56 might hold. That did not happen. Obviously took off over 57 and kept going higher. You might get a little pullback on Verizon, but now this is in breakout mode. So actually, I think Verizon, and we did warn that Verizon is defensive. And, it's kind of stock that they kind of buy when the stocks are going down. And there was a lot of stocks that actually caught bids. I would have won my Procter & Gamble bet with you. It was trading below 86 in the pre-market. You wanted to bet me on the 86 and ended up closing at 87.16. So again, you saw Coca-Cola rally. You saw a lot of defensive names catch a bid yesterday because when the market's showing some weakness, those are the stocks that they fly to for safety. And they did that in the morning, but they kept buying them even after the market turned around and started rallying. They kept buying. I mean, you look at Coke, it kept going up there too. Obviously, Verizon continued. That's how we went on this tangent here. AT&T, was wild yesterday, was initially weak and then caught a bid. Giving it back here, I don't think I'm selling AT&T down in here at 31.86. I mean, there is some support down here. Yes, maybe it disappointed a bit. Maybe it's not performing as well as Verizon, but until I would say if you take out the 31.48, let's see what happens at 31.48. If we can hold there, there's a chance to bounce.
Yeah, I'm with you here. You had, I'm not sure, this must have been on the market meltdown day. You went down to 31.66. Also have a pair of lows at the 31.50 area back in the beginning of September. That area came into play in July as well. And then you got a kind of a scary area, though, between this 31.50 and then you went to 30.50 to 31.50 in like 2 days. So we got some work to do in that area, but I have some interest here. I'd see if we could hold support at 31.50.
Jump over to UPS, or actually, let's go Boeing. Boeing is just flying here, no pun intended. BA up $15. Holy cow, what's going on, Spencer?
Yeah, Boeing Q3 EPS $3.58 is a 6-cent beat on the estimate. Sales 25.14 versus $24.6 billion. So beats on the top and bottom line for a Q3 for Boeing. They also raised their guidance for the fiscal year. They raised their EPS guidance from $14.30 on the low end of the range to $14.90. Sales guidance was raised on the low end of the range by $1 billion from $97 to $98 billion. So guidance raises and earnings beats. It's hard to not go up on that.
Big pop after a big drop yesterday, but it reversed there too. Now you get up. This is tough trading, like tough, you can say you got the little triple top 368, but you got earnings. You got some people who are hungry for stocks. I think the bottom may have been made there yesterday. So I kind of want to fade the pop, but I feel like sentiment has turned a little bit. Like I said, I took off my bearish hat, which was sell the rip hat, and I've got my market neutral hat on, and that's making me sit on my hands on a stock like Boeing. If this would have been doing this yesterday with the market trading down, I've been like, sell the hell out of this rip. But now I'm kind of scared, because I kind of feel like we made a little short-term bottom yesterday too.
All right. Boeing. I'm looking at, that's what we were talking about, Dennis. I know you went off like 3 or 4 different things.
No, I didn't go on any tangents. I said I'd be fading them. I was good on that one. There was no tangents there.
You kind of went from
I was saying
Boeing
at 360
to
that I want to fade Boeing because the market sentiment's turned.
Where do you want to fade it
But
at?
I don't want to fade it because the market sentiment.
Where do you want to fade it at? I got a number.
I don't want to fade it because I said I'm scared, so I'm sitting on my hands. I said it yesterday. I said if Boeing reported yesterday and that terrible tape was up $15, I'd sell the hell out of it. But it's not a terrible tape today.
What about it?
And the sentiment turned a little bit yesterday.
What about at 368?
I like that level, 368.
I do too, yeah.
And that's where I would be fading if I was fading. And that's where I'd probably be getting out of a long if it's getting out of a long.
Exactly.
So I do like that level. I'm just scared of this overall market because, it can turn around and rip your face off.
No.
You selling it? You going short?
I mean, at 268, you got a 67.76 high, a 68.5 high, and a 68.57 high. And then you go all the way down to 340 and change, and now you're right back up there. I would rather be selling along at that area, but the longer it takes to get to 368, get to 370, I look for this one to fade and fade badly.
Ooh, nice. Big, bold call here from Mr. Elconin. UPS. Let's do that one.
All right, we pull it up in my pro. UPS this morning, Q3 EPS, $1.82 is in line with estimates. Sales $17.44 versus $17.46 billion, so a slight miss on the sales figure. They did also reaffirm their EPS guidance for the fiscal year in line with estimates.
You know what? It's kind of in the middle of nowhere at 111. So I'm going to say I don't think it's going to get down there, but if it ever got down to 104, 105, that's the real support. So I think you're early at 110.
Okay. Not a great looking chart here by any means. Trading, I'll give you a pre-market low at 110.16. You're trading at 110.90. 112, I'll give you 113 as resistance because that will fill the gap from yesterday. And as support, man, if you start really get going to the downside here, I don't know this is just I don't even like this chart. I don't even want to give support in this one. I have no feel for this chart at all.
It's a spinner point out. Let's go talk the pot names here because they did have a nice reversal yesterday. I mean, these things got beat up. And, we were talking, and Nick Shaheen, actually, good props to Nick Shaheen here because he was, talking about those as well, a little bit from a bullish standpoint there. And, they sold off a little bit too much too fast. So it was a reversal day. But it seems like everything kind of reversed yesterday. So it's one thing you have to consider, and if you're a trader and you're new, you might not realize this, but when market volatility increases, when you start getting a spike in the VIX, you start to see all stocks just move together, like especially like all the higher beta names, they all move together despite, whatever it is. I mean, they're taking risk off, they're selling all the high beta, they're putting risk on, they're buying all the high beta. And if you look yesterday, there's so many charts that just look the same. I mean, pot has nothing to do, with, say for instance, some of these other tech companies, or even, the spike that we saw in like Coca-Cola or AT&T or Verizon. But it seems like when the markets, start to really get volatile, all stocks can start to move together. And you really saw a reversal day, not only in the pot stocks, but in so many other stocks. Like if you bring up any chart, you saw weakness and then you saw them close fairly strong. So, pot stocks definitely participating in that there. I mean, some of these stocks like, Aurora Cannabis, which is now obviously listed on the NYSE, wild 5 days. It got up to almost $13, pulls all the way back down yesterday to 7. So you're talking about like a quiet 40% sell-off in 4 days. So eventually there's going to be a bounce. And eventually, there is still a sector here. And that's why I think Nick's point was there's still, a sector here. There's still money here. These aren't like, stocks that are all going back down to zero and this isn't, a real sector. This is a real sector. It's just a matter of, is valuation warranted there? At a certain point in time when they come down enough, valuation is. We know like CGC, Constellation was willing to invest in that thing between 25 and 30 bucks. I mean, it got down to 36 yesterday and change.
Wow.
So, at a certain point, you get back down there, you're like, well, you're getting it now at Constellation Brands prices. It starts to make some sense. When you're buying it in the 50s, it probably didn't. You're buying in the 30s, it probably starts to make more sense, And obviously, there's a ton of these things now. Cron, you can talk CRON, or Tilray's always had a little bit higher valuation, and I'm a little bit more scared of that one. Or if you just want to play the Spencer Israel way, MJ, and you get a little bit of them all. But if you were looking to get in the sector and you wanted to, didn't want to pay up, yesterday is a pretty good opportunity.
Did you do the research that you said you were going to do for me last night?
On what stock?
LQSIF?
No, I didn't even look at that. What did that thing do?
It sold off and then it came back.
Give me the symbol on that thing again. Did you buy it?
I did buy it yesterday.
LQSIF. LQSIF, the Alcana, 760. Oh yeah, it's the one with the dividend. I always forget. I have the goldfish, man. I can't remember my name half the time. 760, so 3.6% dividend. This year is saying it's going to be a distributor of marijuana in Canada.
Yes. So
it's got dividend real company. I can't argue with you, Joel. Maybe, but the market cap on this thing is only 280 million, so still speculative.
Let's buy it.
Capital.
Let's buy it, man. Let's get Bob.
We can get all together and take it private.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think logically here, right? Okay, if you're going to play this sector, and now people are going to be buying, marijuana in Canada. I don't know if this is like the only place. They did $1.2 million in 5 days in Alberta. People are going to be buying it, right? There are people that were smoking it before are going to be buying it.
They're going to be buying marijuana, but there's so many places to buy it, and I don't know. I guess it's going to be, somewhat regulated on where you buy it and stuff, but there's still going to be lots of places to get it. So I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I said I was going to do research on this. I didn't do any on it, but I can't. I'll put it on the list.
Is there one? Do they have any stores there in Windsor or Toronto? Do you know?
Like a marijuana store? I think you got to buy it like through
LQSIF.
Okay. I don't think it's like a store you go in like a marijuana shop and give me 5 grams of marijuana to go. I think it's still regulated like through other measures there. I don't think it's just that simple. Okay. But maybe it's eventually going to get to that point, but it's not there yet.
Okay. All right. Let's move. You do your research. Let's move on. In the Google chat, we got a request for iRobot, and that's getting cream this morning.
Yes, it is. Q3 GAAP EPS. I don't know if this compares to the estimate. $1.12 versus 48 cents. Sales $264 versus $245 million. They did raise guidance, which is interesting. They raised their fiscal year EPS guidance from $2.30 on the low end of the range to $2.55. The fiscal year sales guidance also raised a hair, 1.06 to 1.08 billion. So quite frankly, I'm not even sure why it's selling off the way it is this morning.
George Gott says that what's killing it is they won't raise prices for tariffs, so it hurt their margins.
Okay.
So that's coming from very informative. Thank you, George. It got whooped, I believe, a couple weeks ago on a downgrade. That's one downgrade that definitely held some weight. 81.15 is your pre-market low. We're $5 above that. I'm willing to say the low of the day or the low of the pre-market session will hold up today. On the dailies, oh boy. On the dailies, you had two lows at 80.82 and 81.55. So that's what I think people were focusing on. Since you made that low, your high is 87.15. So you need to get above that to continue this rally.
Also, FCX reporting here this morning. It is trading in the green. It's another stock. Trend has been awful, but again, a little bit of a reversal day. It's still closed very weak, but off the lows, and now you get a pop up to 12. 12 does look, that's where it just broke down from. So let's see what it does there. If it turns around, starts giving it back. Well, that's not good news. But again, some of these stocks showing some life, and I've got that market neutral hat on, which is leaning a little more to the bullish side. So I'm actually looking more of a buying the dip as opposed to selling the reps.
I mean, why is that low from yesterday? Why does that just have to be the low of the move, Dennis?
It doesn't have to be at all. But right now, and I just gave this argument, is that all stocks, when the volatility goes up, all stocks start to move together. So are you talking on the S&P? Why does that have to be the low of the move?
Right. Yeah, that's what I was referring to.
It's just such a rip your face off rally from the lows. So, did it go, in 10 minutes? No, but all day, after, it stopped me out at the low, well, not the lows, but stopped me up below the 270 area there. It just slowly started to climb back. And I mean, it shows that.
Yeah, but that wasn't a good rally. It's not a good rally. That's not a healthy rally.
What's not a good rally about it?
That's not a healthy rally yesterday.
Why?
Because it's just you've created too much air in between.
There's air everywhere.
Yeah, there's air everywhere here, and I think the air is still going to be filled, on the downside. I mean, I think we can work I'd be more confident to say the bottom is in if we go down and make a low at like 27.10 and 27.15 or low at 2,700, and we hold up for a few days, and then you can lean on it. But here it's just you just created this big vacuum, just old computers buying it all the way up. And I don't think you had any instant, unless you were in there early in the morning, you didn't get any cheap discount prices. And I just maybe the low on the move, but I just don't think it's a healthy rally when you go straight up 55 handles. That's
how they do it though, and they don't give you a second chance. Like that's how they do it.
Well, that's what everyone said about it.
They went through. Here's my thesis and why I think the short-term bottom is in. I'll say right now, I think the short-term bottom is in. And I was actually saying yesterday, I thought it was going to be at 271. I was wrong. The June lows held almost to the kisser on SPY, and you just saw so many other stocks just turn around. And you look at the value trade came back into favor. So you look at General Electric, not that that's, a bellwether here, but there was a lot of stocks like this that they were just looking to buy. GE was down and weak, and it turned around, and that's a nice green candle. And IBM, that turned around, actually did not make a new low on the move, and it starts to show a little bit of life there. Even Ford and GM, both yesterday showing a little bit of life. Stocks that have been absolutely hated in the doghouse were showing life. And then, obviously some of the bigger, higher beta names like the Squares, and maybe they didn't get as much of a rip your face, but Apple had a huge day yesterday. It just looks like, and now the second piece of the puzzle, which is why I think the short-term bottom is in, is we were significantly down here overnight. Well, we couldn't hold that sell-off for more than a few hours, and they've come back and bought it back here again. So as quickly, and this is what as quickly as the markets turn. Yesterday we were talking so much in the morning about how they keep selling the rips. Every time we can't hold a rally. Well, we couldn't hold the dip yesterday. We couldn't hold the dip again. So basically 2 days. Yesterday's dip, intraday dip, and last night's overnight dip were both bought. So now it's telling me that money managers are interested. That's my thesis on why, and it's all just thesis. Nobody can know for sure if the short-term bottom is in or not. And that's why we have a market. We're going to have, conflicting opinions.
Correct.
But I think there's buyers on pullbacks here now in a number of stocks, and I think I'm one of them.
Okay, no, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I'm just
Well, you are
thinking
disagreeing. You think it's a not healthy rally. So, and you might be right.
when it
Joel.
goes up straight
You
up
may very well
60
might be right. Maybe it's
handles,
going to be in my
70
face. And it's going to go
handles.
straight back down.
No, I don't know
But
if
I
it's going
think
to
I'll
go
be
straight
buying
back down.
dips. If you get some dips in some stocks today, I'm interested.
Okay, well, we're really not going up until and I don't follow the VIX. My VIX is the average daily range, and the average daily range in the S&Ps is up at 42. So we're not going anywhere until this market consolidates, calms down. We get into like a 20 or 25, back to a normal range, and we start climbing our way higher. As long as these average daily ranges are elevated, we need to consolidate and calm down before we go back up. So that's what makes a market, right? If you want to do 2,800 versus 2,700 in the S&P for a steak dinner, I'd be willing.
Well, that's not fair. I have to go up 660 points. You have to go down 30 points.
You're too smart. I knew I couldn't.
He's trying to get me again.
Well,
He's so sneaky. Just because I'm tired doesn't mean you can just take advantage of me here, Joel. So,
all right,
8:31. Let's go look at imbalances here. This always gives us a little indicator here too in the morning. And you know what? Those institutions are not showing their hands at all here this morning. This is as small as I've seen them in a long time. I do see a sell imbalance in Verizon and AT&T, and that makes sense because AT&T is down. Verizon, though, you know what? I'm a buyer of pullbacks on this. You get this in 56.5 area. I think there's going to be buyers there below. Now, AT&T, I'm kind of want to buy the pullback on that, but it's obviously the news leader there, and I really want to see what it does at 31.5 it can hold. But really, these imbalances are just muted. Square small, buy imbalance at 30,000. Alibaba small, sell imbalance at 48,000. This is as small as they get. Why is that? There's no institutions putting their orders out there this early in the morning because you know why? They haven't figured out where the market's going. You're flat here on the day, and they're like, is this going to be a risk on day or a risk off day? And nobody knows right now. It's giving me the indicator that I think it's going to be another risk on day. I love the 2-day move. I think we're going to get a rally here early. I don't know if it gets faded or not. Then that could change your thesis in a hurry. And that's why you're a trader. You have to be able to change your opinion very quickly. Yesterday morning, I came in and I was kind of, I said if the 270 holds, and I tried it from the long side. Obviously, got stopped out. But you've got to be able to change your opinions especially as a day trader. You got to be able to change your opinions quickly. And I'm full on market neutral and leaning to the bull side now.
Okay. All right. We'll let things shake out today. I know you won't go. We'll just wait. We'll let things shake out today, and then we'll maybe.
And that being said, I'm leaning to the bull side, but I don't have any. I'm not market long, especially my investment portfolio. I am. My trading portfolio, I'm not though. So I'm still cautious here, but what I would love to see is a little bit of a pullback, and I think I'm going to be trying stocks again.
Okay. All right. Should we just go to break here? We got a new guest coming on.
You know what? We have a couple of minutes, and we teased FCX, but we didn't actually do the numbers. So let's just
give us numbers.
Let's do Freeport real quick.
That is a digression here.
Spencer, give us the earnings.
That was like 10 minutes ago. Q3 EPS 35 cents versus a 41 cent estimate. Sales 4.9 versus 4.75 billion dollars. So that is a miss on the EPS and a beat on the sales for FCX.
Not great, but you know what? They're buying stocks here today. So FCX getting a pop. I don't know. Maybe this is a guy.
12.10. 12.10.
Let's see what it does there. Let's see what it does at
12.10 is your pre-market high, right? And what's your 2-day high?
Sure.
Your 2-day high is 12.10. So if you clear that, boom, get your targets out. I think you can clear 12.33, but more resistance at 12.48. But 12.10 resistance, that's what I'll be looking at here, up 44 cents. I was calling the 11.50 area support yesterday. It got below that to 11.25. On a decline, you might find some buyers there at the closing price of 11.61.
All right, it is 8:34 now. We're going to take a quick break and grab a new guest today. We're going to be joined by Rahim. He is an analyst at Cox Automotive. He's going to offer a preview of the auto earnings after the bell today. So we'll be right back in a moment with Zoe. All right, welcome back, everyone. Pre-market prep, Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin, and Dennis Dick, now joined by new guest, Zoe Rahim. He's an analyst at Cox Automotive. How's it going today?
Good. How about you?
We're doing well. We're excited for the auto earnings. We have Tesla, of course, moving up their report by a week. We have Ford later today. So give us your overall thoughts here on what we can expect from those two companies as they report earnings after the close.
Of course, yeah. So, first and foremost, just addressing the industry. I think one thing to keep in mind is that we are post-peak. 2016 was the best new vehicle sales year on record for the U.S. automotive industry, and ever since then, it's come down. Even now, our forecast for 2018 full year is 16.8 million, and we also see that coming down in 2019. So it's definitely a challenging macro environment for OEMs with ongoing cycle risk. Looking at Ford, since they're announcing aftermarket close today, I think the analyst forecasts are expectations that Q3 earnings will be down. There's, of course, what things to watch from Ford earnings, and especially from their commentary, is what's the true impact of aluminum steel tariffs. What's happening with foreign markets, specifically China, and even emerging markets right now. We've seen a noticeable deceleration in terms of data coming out of China specifically. So does that mean the U.S. market and North America as a whole is the sweet spot or the bright spot for Ford for Q3 earnings? That's a great question, and I do think so. There's, of course, still a strong push for light truck sales, specifically SUVs and CUVs, which Ford has a good product lineup for. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that Ford's had made comments about ditching the sedan, ditching the passenger car in general. So, the expectation there is that they should lose market share there, just because, you're not selling into a certain part of the market.
Let's just talk a little bit. Let's just talk a little bit here about Ford in their restructuring plan and all the changes that they've made. They made a big investment in the train station here in downtown Detroit, paying $190 a square foot here, which is just way above the market price here. Using that, the other parts of their plan here, people don't really seem to have a handle on. I mean, I think they got to have some kind of trick up their sleeve. They got to have something really to turn the momentum. And I mean, we could tell, we know car sales are declining. I mean, this company, if you look at relative to the greatest bull market of all time, just a horrible relative performance here. Do you think they have any tricks up their sleeve here for Wall Street today?
That's definitely looking our question. Again, the details have been pretty sparse for their, I think, $11 billion restructuring plan. I think this morning news came out that they're going to appoint a new head of Ford China, if I'm not mistaken, and then make that a standalone unit, reporting straight into Farley. So I think that might be a glimpse as in terms of what they're trying to do. I think, of course, the biggest thing for them is figure out what products you're going to sell, figure out where you're going to sell them. So there's definite need for major restructuring on their end. And also, what's their investment in the future of automotive in terms of autonomous, in terms of ride sharing. Again, no one, I think, has had a lot of information. I think the analyst community, I think investors as a whole are waiting. I don't know how long it's patiently waiting, but we're waiting for management to come out and kind of provide more material and structured information regarding their restructuring plan. So hopefully, they use today as the stepping stone or to kind of boost some better commentary, because like you said, there really hasn't been too much information besides investing in Detroit, specifically in the real estate there. But other than that, I think investors for sure are kind of starting to, raise their interest in terms of what actually is going to happen.
Performance in the foreign markets has not been very good. China, South America, Europe. GM has already pulled out of Russia, Europe, and India. Do you think Ford is going to stay currently in the 100 markets that they're currently in?
Question: as of right now, I don't see them pulling out just yet. I think I think their strategy, again, not much information on their strategy, but I think their strategy right now is not pull out of the market, but pull out of certain segments. So I think that's what they're going to continue to look at, continue to do. Again, if you're pulling out of the passenger vehicle market in the U.S. light new vehicle market, right? So that itself is a major shift. So I don't see them now using any sort of that momentum into pulling out of overall markets.
So can you just talk about just overall, you look at Ford and you look at GM, and here's Ford sitting with a 7% dividend here now. Here's GM with sitting on 4.75% dividend. The stocks are near they're on multi-year lows. I know they bounced a little bit there yesterday. Why? And this is after reporting some record numbers last quarter here. Why is it that investors just don't seem to care or want to own these stocks?
I do think, when you first look at the overall equity market, right, it's been driven a lot by technology. The FANG stocks for sure have outperformed overall, right. And a lot of, momentum and growth stocks. And here you have the auto manufacturers, which again, still these guys are profitable, are still making money, but it is a challenging macro environment. I think, you hear it all the time that the market's post-peak, it's in a downward trend. You're going to see new vehicle sales collapse. We don't expect there to be a full-on new vehicle sales collapse just because of inherent fundamental demand in the new vehicle market. But there are challenges, right? Rising interest rates are going to cause and are causing issues for consumers. Housing has been something we're looking at, has been an issue. Housing hasn't grown as fast or grown in general as people would have liked or expected, and that has an impact on pickup trucks. And of course, if it has an impact on pickup trucks, it for sure has an impact on the F-150, the Chevy Silverado, the GMC Sierra. So I think the overall macro environment might be causing investors to shy away from these stocks, even though, again, it's not that A, they don't have a good dividend, or B, that they're not making money. It's, I think, the overall market right now is just wary of these
Do you
names.
think, like, if the interest rates continue to rise here, is there going to be a point in time where Ford and GM are not going to make money? Do they have enough coverage here? Like, even if sales decline a little bit, do they have enough coverage to stay profitable? Or if sales decline significantly from a potential continued rising interest rate environment, could there be a point in time where these companies aren't making the money they were before and potentially have to slash those dividends?
We don't see that just yet. Even our expectations for new vehicle sales decline is about 2% going into next year, and then a lot of that might be driven by fleet sales. Again, to get a little economic here, I think our expectations of the new vehicle market is that fundamental demand around 16 million. So unless there's a major credit issue and in a major recession like we saw in the Great Recession, SAAR shouldn't come down too much. New vehicle sales from an annual basis shouldn't come down too much. I do think, if you want to talk about unexpected losses or unexpected decreases in revenue, I think it will be auto tariffs if they do go through. Again, we don't know really what's happening with the USMCA and other countries, specifically China. So the impact, I think, right now is very uncertain, but I think that would cause a decrease in revenue, not so much the sales environment.
So going back to China here for a second, specifically on Ford, they did announce a new CEO of their China business and a spinoff of that unit into a separate unit here this morning. Obviously sales have dropped a lot for Ford in China on a year-over-year basis. It's been very, very hard for them. Does the move today of the spinoff and the new CEO, does that make you more excited about Ford with regards to China?
Oh, absolutely. China is still the largest new vehicle market in the world. And I think this is a good sign and a good step in the right direction for them to create a standalone business, for them to have a little bit more flexibility and more power in terms of what they do in China. I think this definitely helps for sure.
And then let's talk about the other big automaker reporting later today, and that's Tesla. What are you
The
expecting?
fun one, right?
Yeah, what are you expecting there?
So right now, I think overall the market might expect some good news coming out of Tesla. Again, they abruptly announced Monday that it's going to report earnings today. So does that mean that there's a lot of better news than expected? Possibly. I think Bloomberg surveyed some people, and then they said that Tesla would report pretty much break even quarter. And loss of less than 10 cents per share versus, last year's, which was, almost $3 loss. So are we about to see maybe break even in profitability for the quarter for Tesla? Possibly, which would be, very good news for investors. I don't know how good news it is for people that are probably holding the Tesla stock, in major short positions today. But I think we can see good news. I think right now a lot of people are focused on what Tesla has in terms of challenges. That's the Model 3 production and operational challenges, with expanding that lineup. Cash burn is for sure important for, I think, the overall industry to kind of realize what Tesla is doing there. Their thoughts on increased competition. We have Porsche's coming out, Audi's we're about to release theirs early next year. And just some of these ongoing investigations, specifically into Elon Musk. So I think if the management commentary addresses those four challenges and reports a good quarter, I think Tesla is going to have a pretty good day today. But again, even if it does report, a break even, if not profitable quarter with strong revenue, these challenges don't go away, right? So there's a lot of uncertainty still left, but I think the way that they're doing today's call, abruptly, short notice, they might have some good news for investors.
So you sound like a fairly young guy, right? How old are you, if you mind me asking?
28.
28.
No.
Okay. So take off your Cox analyst hat here for a second and put it down. All right. And tell me, what the auto industry is going to look like. What are you going to be driving? Are you even going to have a car in 10 years?
So I do think I'll have a personal car in 10 years. Now, the question is, do I own that car? I don't know. Leasing and loan products will continue to exist. But I do think, ride sharing programs and subscription programs, I think, will dictate the future of ownership over the next decade. And I think you're starting to see a lot of investments, not just from OEMs, but dealers also into those spaces. So I have a personal car today, but I'm pretty much, I want to say about a tenth of all my miles driven this year have been in Uber. So, of all my miles ridden have been in Ubers and Lyfts. So we're starting to see a ramp up in ownership still existing, but people using subscription, using ride sharing and ride hailing services to kind of get around. So I think in the next 10 years, I think 10 years is still short for the automotive industry as a whole to ditch cars and ditch car ownership in general. But I do think, in 10 years, I'll have my, Honda Accord. And then I also have maybe a subscription service to a nice Mercedes or a nice BMW that I can do partial ownership and use it on the weekends.
All right.
I like it. All right. Rahim has been on with us. He's an analyst at Cox Automotive when he's not wearing his consumer hat, apparently. Thanks so much for the time today.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
All right.
I'm not going to have a car in 10 years.
Why not?
You're not?
No. I'm going to buy this. What I'm buying now, I'm going to keep for 10 years.
This will be your last car?
Yeah, it is. Because I'm just going to do, it's just going to be, ride sharing, boom, come and pick me up at the pool.
You go on your app and your autonomous car shows up, picks you up, takes you to where you want to go.
Has a little.
That's it.
Yeah, has a little yogurt or something, a banana for breakfast in the car, and that's it. I mean, why deal with service? Why deal with Just think how much do you pay insurance a year?
Well, I know it adds up. I just had to let's look at my insurance quote because I just bought a new F-150 3 days ago. So again, inside information, I'm helping Ford out.
Oh my gosh, I just got the greatest idea. Short car insurance companies. Because
who says that?
At me.
Why?
Because people aren't going to own cars. They're not going to need car insurance.
Somebody has to own the car.
Yeah, but not as much as they.
But if you're sharing vehicles now that it gets cut in half, or maybe not that much, but even if it gets cut in a third, what's that look like?
Yeah, because it's the big bundles and stuff. Dennis, give me the big. You can't short Berkshire Hathaway; they're too diversified. But just
Progressive.
That's
one.
Progressive is a good call.
Man. This is going to go with my REIT call.
Look at that straight up, Joel. You're shorting the top too, if you call.
I love it.
You're shorting the absolute top of Progressive.
Oh my gosh.
This is it. Joel, it's a gift. This thing's been going straight up. What else is Progressive? They've got insurance for other things, though. Is it mainly auto?
I couldn't tell you the breakdown of their business. It's probably a lot auto, but yes, they do other stuff.
Yeah, look at Spinner's Magic Ally Financial. They're more into the leasing end. Dana's boyfriend will be too.
What about Allstate, ALL? What about Travelers, TRV?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of life insurance and stuff in there too, but maybe people don't need insurance in the future.
No, life insurance you need, but no, that's I don't know, just a little tangent there, but let's see. And I don't know if I can take an Uber to the UP though. TT Mac is asking me that, but that would be a pretty expensive Uber. But I bet you if I get a bunch of people going up to the UP at the same time, we could get a ride sharing vehicle, get a big mobile home or something up there and go do that. No, I mean, it's just a thought. We'll see what happens, but
less vehicles in the future might be what these stocks are pricing in. There's definitely a consideration there. I mean, there's a reason. It's not just interest rates that Ford and GM continue to go straight down. That being said, I will say right now, we just kind of did this long-term bearish thesis on the autos. Short term here, these two stocks both had nice candles yesterday. So I think there's a potential for a squeeze here in a 2-day move here today. I think there's room for $4 to $9. Maybe you buy them. Maybe there's a buy ahead. I don't know if I want to hold it through the report, but there could be that opportunity ahead of the report. And GM too, I think there's room to 33 here as well. So I'm actually looking at these as short-term day trading opportunities today. But from a long-term perspective, I still own a little bit of Ford, but like I said, I've sold half, and I'll probably, if we get a nice lift here after the earnings or something like that, or I might actually sell the rest of it.
And I just took a short-term position here in Ford, nothing major. I'm just looking for a little bit of lotto on some out of the money calls.
Well, and that's it. It's overdone. It's it had a nice candle there yesterday, so I can't argue. The candle yesterday was a nice candle for Ford and GM. So short-term, there may be an opportunity here. Maybe they have that opportunity to surprise a little bit. I mean, we saw, and the home builders are a great indicator here. And we saw Pulte come out yesterday with numbers that were okay. You know what? They bought that Pulte home yesterday. PHM had a good day yesterday. Some of these other home builders had a good day yesterday. So maybe it's just for a few days. But right now, some of these value trades, these beaten down value names are starting to show some life. I mean, GE showed some great life yesterday, really rallying and leading the charge, really. Yeah. I mean, it's got down to lower 12s, and that's a big move for GE, a 50-cent pop there intraday for a $12 stock. So you saw money going into some value names, and that typically doesn't work itself out in one day. Sometimes it's a couple-day trade there. So that's hit my scanners here. That money is, flew into value yesterday, and that can sometimes continue the next day. So I'm looking at some of these names on the pullback here. If we do get a pullback this morning, and possibly, just short-term, day trading positions more than anything, maybe a couple day trade, but nothing more than that.
All right. Do we get all the big earnings out of the way? I know we went off.
We're not going to get them all. We've got a lot to preview though, and we should just talk about who is reporting tonight. And we didn't do any ratings either, but so we got a lot to do in the next 2.5 minutes. But reporting tonight. AMD, Microsoft, Visa. We already talked about Tesla going to report. You got a couple airlines. Save's going to report here. You've got Ford, obviously, those numbers coming in out. Las Vegas Sands. Tomorrow is the big 192 stocks reporting tomorrow. Gilead, Twitter, Amazon, Intel, Google, Celgene, Chipotle, First Solar, Wynn Resorts. So tomorrow's going to be a huge earnings day here. So you're in the heart of earnings season here right now. When you're getting these Microsofts and these Googles and these Amazons all within 24 hours of each other, This is the heart of earnings.
Tomorrow
season. This
is
going to make or break the markets.
Tomorrow is the busiest earnings day of the season, I think. I don't know. I don't even know.
At least for names, like maybe not the most numbers because you have a couple later on that you get like 250. But there's a lot of smaller mid caps. For the big names, I agree with you, Spencer.
I don't even know if you mentioned Twitter or Comcast.
No, there's so many.
Yeah, okay.
Intel.
So yeah, we could just go down there, but a lot to discuss on tomorrow's show. Were there any big ratings? There was actually one that caught my eye. Dish Network, which is one of the worst performers in the S&P this year. I think they're in the S&P at least.
Horrible day yesterday.
Dish caught an upgrade this morning to buy from Guggenheim.
Sold to you, Guggenheim.
I knew you were kidding.
I absolutely, and you want me to go on a rant, but Netflix with DirecTV and Dish, and DirecTV obviously owned by AT&T here now. I think these are in secular decline. I think all rallies to be sold. I think when I look at Dish 2 years from now, I know this was rumors. People were saying, "Oh, it's going to get bought out." I don't know why anybody. After we saw the disaster of the DirecTV AT&T deal there, where they bought the top basically on DirecTV, I can't see anybody coming here and buying Dish. I mean, you're going, and the Comcast has some other stuff at least, but Dish is mainly just TV, is it not? Do they have like internet and stuff too, or is it mainly TV? Comcast at least has your internet provider. They've got some other stuff, cell phone, but Dish, that's like ground zero. Like people are getting rid of. They're cutting the cable wires. They're cutting the satellite receiver wires too.
I've been at people's house where they've had like that Dish TV, and I don't think I ever could find a channel on there. There's like
I've liked the DirecTV Dish and the satellite TV for a long time. But that being said, I find myself watching Netflix a hell of a lot. So it's something I've considered for a long time, is getting rid of, and just going with Netflix. If I wasn't such a sports fan, I need it just because I still like watching sports. I need some type of cable TV or satellite TV because I like sports. But once they master that on the internet, I'll cut the plug. And they're going to master that on the internet there too. Eventually you're going to be able to watch all your sports. Some people already do, but I think the quality isn't quite there yet. I feel like it's still, I like it because I like my sports. But
quality is not sports,
there. I would cut the cable. Do you have cable?
I was saying the quality is not there. I do actually, we're like forced to pay for like a basic cable package. We get 5 channels, but most 99.9% of my TVs is Netflix or whatever is through Roku or Apple TV. But the quality, but the quality really honestly is not there because it's all dependent on your internet connection. So like I know when I turn on channel 2 that it'll be good. The quality will be good. CBS is not going to get screwed up. The feed won't get screwed up. But I don't know that about even my Netflix, or I don't know if my internet might go out.
5 years from now, they'll have that.
What about Rogers? What's the symbol for Rogers Communications?
RCI.
How's that?
In Canada, it's RCI. I think it's RCI. Is it RCI here or RCI.B?
Yeah, no, it's
RCI.
RCI.
That chart looks okay. I mean, because they're the only one.
But they got a lot. Rogers, and I give Rogers a lot of money. They're my service provider there. They got the cell phone services. They've got a lot of other irons there. I feel like Dish, and they're saying they do have broadband too, but I feel probably broke it down. Dish majority is a satellite TV. I just think that's a dying business. My opinion. I think it's a dying business.
Okay. All right. Few minutes over time here.
I don't investing in dying businesses.
All right, Spencer.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
We're going to wrap up today's show. So I want to thank all of you in our chats, both on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. Thanks to our guest, Zoe Rahim. Tomorrow's guest is Kenny Polcari. He will join the show at 8:35. Excited to talk to him. As always, before we let you go, I want to tell you about today's sponsor of the show is Wealth Venue, the autopilot investment platform for everyone. I've got the website up on the screen. Right now, Wealth Venue will structure, trade, and rebalance your investment portfolio so you don't have to worry about making the right investment decisions. To learn more, go to wealthvenue.com, as I'm putting the link in our chats there. And on that note, thanks to everyone who joined us today. Hope you enjoyed the show, and hope you had a good morning. And I hope you join us again on Thursday. Good luck out there.